Hi guys, it's Kate. Welcome back to my channel. This will be a pretty low-key, low-energy Friday reads today. I believe, falling ill again, so hopefully this will just be a pretty short-lived cold, but in the meantime, I've tried to film this about 1,000 times it seems, but I keep sniffing and sneezing, and editing is not really my thing, so fingers crossed this time works. Let's talk about the book, shall we? Okay, so this is the first book that I read. This is Clock Dance by Anne Tyler. This is my nose is itchy. A character study of Willa, our main character, as she, we see her through 4 kind of defining moments or periods of her life. And we see her following a certain trajectory, perhaps in a rut, one might say, and then something happens that kind of jars her out of that, and it's unclear whether she's that final defining moment that's jarring her out of her existence is out of her routine, perhaps, is it opens up some new feelings and opportunities for her that she has to then decide what to do with. And I quite like this book, actually. It starts out with Willa and her sister Elaine as children. That's the first moment that we see, and I was captivated. Not in, kind of in a train wrecky sort of way. Like, this is not a happy childhood that's depicted at all. But the characters were so compelling. I just wanted to know what happened to them. So, and that continued throughout the book, even though, to me personally, Willa was not a particularly likable main character. She was the type of woman whom I really don't want to be. And yet, I still could learn from her, and I still was rooting for her, and I still was really compelled to read her story and learn about her. So I would recommend this book if those types of stories are what you're interested in. And then I have a question. If anyone else has read more Anne Tyler, I guess I'm wondering how typical this story is of her type of writing. So I don't want to give away any spoilers, but kind of the way the story ended is I'm wondering if that's typical for her. Sorry for being cryptic and vague, but I don't want to spoil it because I think that's important. It's like literally the last page is what I'm talking about. So yeah, good book. That was the only literary fiction that I read this week at all. I read, so there's like an Instagram read along of the Betsy-Tacy books, and I did read, I don't know that I have it on my Kindle anymore. I did read the first one of those, and it was okay. So this is like very early middle grade telling of 2 little girl best friends, how they become best friends, and kind of the adventures that they have. And I like to read books like that, partly because I enjoy them, but also partly because I'm looking for books that my 3-year-old might enjoy. And I would say that so far what I've read in those books, they're not suitable for a 3-year-old. There's a little bit more mature content. Other than that, they were enjoyable, but not really anything to write home about. And then finally, I read 2 cozy mystery books. There were 2 in a series, the first 2 in a series. So this is Crime and Poetry by Amanda Flower, and then the second book was called Prose and Cons, like prose, play on words, prose. And this takes place in a magical bookshop. It's about our main character. I'm not even going to remember her name, but she's a graduate student in English Lit in Chicago, presumably at the University of Chicago, and her family comes from a small town near Niagara Falls, and her grandmother owns a bookshop, and she's kind of tricked into going home. We learn that she had left home right after high school for some sort of bad reason, but we don't know what it is. We learn as the book goes on. And then we learn a lot more about this magical bookshop, or we learn more about the bookshop, which turns out to be magical. And the first book, it took me a while to get into it, and I think that was because I had just finished the Kingdom of Copper, which was an amazing fantasy book, and then this Clock Dance, which was a really great character study, and so it was really hard for me to kind of switch to a book that had fantastical elements but yet was not fantasy, and then also one that had less character development. But obviously I ended up liking them well enough to read the second one. They were kind of fun with the literary references throughout, and then also I actually liked her references for the most part, although not 100% of the time, to graduate school and what that was like. As someone who spent a lot of her adult life in graduate school and ultimately left graduate school and left academia for a host of reasons that were, that's probably a whole nother video that I should probably film someday, but let's just say that I very consciously left academia for a very specific set of reasons. A lot of what she said rang true about the way that graduate school is all-consuming and isolating, and yet life goes on and you're so aware of life going on and you're not aware at the same time. The way that she described it I thought was spot on. And other than that, it was a pretty typical cozy mystery. So that was fine and fun. The third book in this series comes out in a couple weeks, and I've requested it from my old library because my new library does not have these books. And then the final thing that I'll talk about is, I don't want to lose my place, so I'm not going to try to find the cover, but I am reading How to Stop Time by Matt Haig right now, which is about a man who doesn't age. He's very, very, very old, and he doesn't age, and so it's about what that life is like. And it's good and it's interesting, and again, there's these literary references and historical references, but so far, and I am, let's see, it doesn't say how far I am. I'm not super far into it, maybe a quarter of the way, but it's very melancholy, and I'm just not sure. I think if I'd read it at a different time in my life, I would be enjoying it a lot more. But it's good. It's a good commentary on the human condition, which I think, my understanding is that's kind of one of the things that Matt Haig is very good at. So I will let you know next week what I end up thinking about this book. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books, or if you've read any Ann Tyler or Matt Haig, actually. I hope you had a great week and are going to have a great weekend, and I will see you again soon. Thanks so much. Bye.